三摩地梭诃，嗡哈哈哈，嗡三摩地梭诃。
Hello everyone, welcome back. Lovely to see you all to join our class today. So this is our third class. In the past two lessons, we have covered the story of the Buddha, whom we can rely on after Buddha enters Nirvana. We can take refuge from the Triple Gem and become Buddhists. Today, we will look at the methods for beginners to practice and uphold for the path to the Buddhahood. Oh yes, we will first start with the bow to the Buddha first. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. So we'll look at the precepts today. Not to do any evil, to cultivate what is wholesome, to purify one's mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhists in the Dhammapada. This is 183. So you can see that what we have to do is not to do any evil and cultivate wholesome deeds. And why we do that is to purify our mind. And if we can do that, we understand the teachings of the Buddha. So the Buddha's teaching is not a system of salvation by faith, but a path to enlightenment and liberations from suffering. The path unfolds in the three main stages: the moral discipline, the sila, concentration, the samadhi, and wisdom, panna. These three divisions of the path rise up each in dependence. They dependence upon its predecessors. So concentration upon moral discipline, and the wisdom upon concentration. The foundation for the entire path, it can be seen, is the training in moral discipline. As the foundation for the path, moral virtues is internalized by observing precepts prescribed as the guidelines to good conduct. The most basic ethical code found in the Buddhist teaching is the 5 precepts. The precepts help to cultivate moral behavior by process involving the substitution of the opposites. The actions prohibited by the precepts, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, and partaking of intoxicants, are all rooted in greed, hatred, and delusions. And when we season to them, we strengthen these evil roots that they become the dominant traits. By undertaking to observe these precepts, we weaken the grip of these evil roots by dispelling them with wholesome mental volitions. So with the thinking, we can control, get rid of the defilements and bring up the wholesomeness. So this will increasingly become more ingrained when we go on with the training. Each time the precepts are upheld, and each time the moral volitions become strengthened until eventually morally become a habitual characteristics through the conditions of repetition the cultivation of good behaviors takes place by habitual reoccurrence. And many passages are found in the scriptures exhorting wholesome cultivation by repetition. Thus, even though at first a practice arouses resistance from within, if it is repeated over and over again with the understanding and development, the qualities it calls into play, such as wholesome volitions in the case of precepts, slowly become the dominant mental traits. So therefore, the 5 precepts are indispensable in the cultivation of virtue for lay disciple. The 5 precepts are the major fundamental precepts of Buddhism. And undertaking and observing the 5 precepts is not only the direct course for entering the Buddhist path, but it is also the best medicine for purifying the mind. Okay, so why are we doing that? In what perspective will help us? Let's look at it this way. The Dharma way, to compare oneself with another. Once, when the Buddha was in the village of Buddha-Dharma in Kosala country, he was asked by the villagers to teach them how to attain the heavenly world where the victorious are reborn. Like, how can we reborn in a good place? Thereupon, the Buddha taught them to reflect on the Dharma way, to compare oneself with another, which leads to the right understandings in the observance of the 5 precepts. On the matter of killing, every person wishes to live and not to die. Everyone is fond of pleasure and adverse to pain. If someone were to kill us, it would be not pleasing or delightful to us. Also, if one kills another who wants to live and not to die, it would not be pleasing or delightful to the other person. So, something that is not pleasing to oneself must not be pleasing to another. Therefore, something that is not pleasing to oneself should not be imposed on another. As a result of this reflection, he himself abstains from killing living beings. He encourages others to abstain, and he speaks in the praise of abstaining. So to stop doing these bad things. Thus, his body conduct is absolutely pure in these 3 aspects. By similar reflection and reasoning, one acquires a better understanding and appreciation of each of the precepts. So let us look at what are these precepts. This lesson maybe is a little bit dry because it's talk about the precepts and what we have to do and things like that. But these are very important ideas. So we have to go through this, and hope you stay with me and listen carefully, because it will help you practice and make your future better. So in the 5 precepts, the first is I undertake to observe the precepts to abstain from killing living beings. The second, I undertake to observe the precepts to abstain from taking what is not given. The third, I undertake to observe the precepts to abstain from sexual misconduct. The fourth, I undertake to observe the precepts to abstain from false speech. Number 5. I undertake to observe the precepts to abstain from intoxicating drinks and drugs, causing heedlessness. So, okay. So let us look at the first precepts. Abstention from killing living beings. The word panatipata is derived from 2 words, pana, which means living being, and atipata, which means striking down, hence killing or destroying. For killing to take place, there are 5 conditions must be met. The beings must be alive, and there must be the knowledge that that is a living being. The third, there must be intention to cause its death. And the fourth, action must be taken to cause its death. And the fifth, the death must result from such action. And if all these conditions are fulfilled, then the precept has been broken. Okay, let us look at the condition for killing. The most important point to note is that there must be an intention or volition to kill. The volition is the mental factor responsible for the action without intention. There is no transgression as we accidentally kill an ant while trying to put it away from our body to prevent it from biting us. Killing is classified as immoral bodily action since it generally occurs while the body, with our body. So, but what really performs the act is the mind using the body as its instrument. So the second important point is that the action taken to cause death needs not occur directly through the body. It can be carried out by giving a command to kill by ways of words, writing, or gesture. So the one who issued such a command becomes responsible for the action as soon as it achieves the intention of killing a living being. In extreme cases, killing can be effected by some sort of practice, the dark magic or supernormal powers. So the third important point to note that is the precept is broken when one is aware the objects of one's action is a living being. Thus, if someone washes vegetables without knowing there is the caterpillars or there's like ants on the leaves and kills them, the precept is not broken. Lastly, the being must die as a result of this action. Thus, a killer is chasing his victim with a knife, intent to killing him on killing him, but the latter accidentally trips on the rock and breaks his head, resulting death. Although the victim died, his death was accidental and no killing was taken place. So let us look at the causes of killing. Acts of killing can originated from all 3 evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. The proximate cause of killing is always hatred, accompanied by delusion, because the force that drives the act is the impulse to destroy the being's life, a form of hatred. Although greed and hate cannot function simultaneously, greed accompanied by delusion can be the motivating factor in cases of killing to gain material benefits or higher status for oneself, to eliminate threats to one's comfort and security, and to obtain enjoyment in hunting and fishing for sport. Killing motivated by hatred is seen in the case of some cruel murderer and manslaughter. Killing motivated by delusion is seen in cases of animal sacrifices done out of wrong views, and the killing the followers of other religions thinking it is religious duty. So the factors affecting the gravity of the acts of killing. Let us look at that. The gravity of the act of killing depends mainly on the qualities of the victim. When the qualities are equal, the gravity varies according to the strength of the defilements and the efforts of the killer. So with regard to moral qualities, human victims are said to have moral qualities, while animal victims are said to have no moral quality. So the killing of a human is braver than, is bigger than, is more heavy than a killing of an animal. So among humans, the most serious of the greatest is killing one's mother, father, or an arahat. To kill a person with superior spiritual qualities or to kill one's benefactor is more blameworthy than to kill an immortal or an unrelated person. In the case of animal victims, the gravity of the act generally depends on its size. The larger the animal, the more blameworthy the killing. Other factors that determine moral gravity are whether it has an owner or is ownerless, so no owner, domesticated or like wild or gentle or vicious, temperament. So the moral gravity would be greater in the three former cases and lesser in the later three. So with regard to defilements and efforts, cold-blooded murderer, intended and planned in advance and rooted in a strong greed and hatred, carried more weight compared to impulsive killing carried out in a fit of rage or in a self-defense. So the unwholesome volitions involved in the thinking and planning out the murder far outweigh those involved in an impulsive killing. The presence of cruelty or torture and the obtaining of a sadistic pleasure from the killing further increase its gravity. So we should reflect this. We should reflect that the first precepts, that of abstaining from taking life, any or all life, will awaken and increase the sanctions of metta. It will establish friendliness between man and man and animal. In this precepts is embodied intelligence, all embracing compassion and goodwill. So it alone could save humanity from destruction. If a large body of men follow these precepts, they will live in peace and there should be no war. There shouldn't be a war. Okay? So now we're looking at the second precept, the abstention from taking what is not given. The word adina means what is not given, and signifies the property of another in which he has legal and blameless ownership. Thus, no offense is committed if the article has no legal owner, such as the firewood collected to make fire and the fruits gathered from the wilds. Blameless ownership become applicable in the cases where a person has legal possession of an article, but does so by improper means or use it for unethical purposes, like the removal of property of the drug traffickers, weapons which are used for destructive purposes. These are, so we'll look at the following 5 conditions that must met in order to break the precepts. So what are these 5 conditions? So an article belongs to another legally and blamelessly. And the knowledge that this article, this thing, belongs to another. Okay, so it belongs to others. So there must be intention to steal. This number 3. And the number 4, action must be taken to steal. And the 5th, by the action, the article must be taken. Okay, so, oops. Okay, so the types and taking of what is not given. Okay, taking what is not given can be divided into many types. The most unashamed, involving threat or force, are daylight robbery, extortion, person snatching, 就是 like take the purse, steal things, and kidnapping. The second type is stealing or secretly taking the items without the owner's knowledge, such as housebreaking, burglary, and pickpocketing. The third type is fraud, lying, false claims, or cheating by confidence tricksters to gain someone's possessions. So they trick you. They say, for example, selling those untrue medicine. They say, if you take this medicine, you can live very long, but actually those are just vitamins, so you get cheated. And so also these are fraud. And the fourth type is visitant when dishonest traders cheat their customer by false weights and measures, or supply products of lower quality than specified. So for example, if you buy something 1 kg, but they only give you like 800 so gram, so something like that. And the fifth type is forgery, when people passes counterfeits money as real or sell counterfeits gold and jewelry. So it's fake, or you sell less. The last type, though seemingly slight, it was common and occurs when employees take small items from the company for their own use without paying for it. And a lot of people do break this. I mean, almost, I think most of the people would take that. For example, at workplace, suddenly they have this very new, nice looking pen. It's very easy to just take the pen home without thinking that it is the property of the company. Yeah. So the causes of taking what is not given, let us look at that. The act of taking what is not given can be rooted in greed or hatred, both being accompanied by delusion. So generally, stealing is caused by greed, and hatred occurs when one person steals something from the others, and not so much that not so much that because he wanted, but because he resents the other's possessions of it and wants to make the victim suffer through its loss. So this is even worse, you see, like you take others' things and you want to make that person suffer because they lost their items. So the factors affecting the gravities of taking what is not given, let us look at that. So the gravity of the act of taking what is not given is determined mainly by the moral qualities of the victim and the value of the article taken. Firstly, stealing from a morally virtuous person or a benefactor is more blameworthy than stealing from an immoral person or an unrelated person. Secondly, stealing a very valuable article is more blameworthy than stealing an article with little value. However, the value of an article need not to be equated to its cash value. Thus, stealing an alms bowl from a meditative monk who uses it to collect food is definitely more severe than stealing several $100s from a rich man. Similarly, stealing the lecture notes from a student preparing for his exam will cause more grief than, to the victim than stealing his TV set, you see? So the mental volitions behind the action and the force of defilements also contribute to the gravity of the act, with hatred being considered more severe than greed. Then again, the second precept affirms the necessity of fair play. It renounces greed and grasping unfair competitions that at any cost lead one to acquire and accumulate riches by ruining others, as well as flagrant thieving. The first and second precepts as social obligations would lead to a friendly cooperation instead of fierce competition. Okay, so let us look at the third one. The third precept, abstaining from sexual misconduct. This precept enjoins abstinence from improper or illicit sexual relations. Sexual misconduct as the volitions arising in the body door through the unlawful intention of trespassing upon a person to whom one has no rights of going. So there are 4 conditions for wrong conduct in the sexual pleasures. There must be a man or a woman with whom it is improper to have sexual intercourse. The second, there must be intention to have sexual intercourse with such a person. The third, action must be taken to have such an intercourse. And the fourth, there must be enjoyment from the contact of the sexual organs. So with reference to the first condition, there are 20 kinds of women and with whom men should not have sexual relations. They can be divided into 3 groups, namely, the women under the guardianship of parents, family members, relatives, and authorities charged with their care. Married or betrothed, so the engaged woman, okay, and the bhikkhunis and the religious woman that are observing the holy life. For all women, a man forbidden by tradition or under religious rules is prohibited as a partner. For any unwilling partner who is drugged or forced to have sexual intercourse under threats of violence or coercion conditions of the third and the fourth above that we listed in the under the screen, exclude them from violation of the precepts. So the causes of sexual misconduct, why it happens? So the root cause of sexual misconduct is always greed and lust, accompanied by delusion. And the factors affecting the gravity of sexual misconduct, let us look at them. The gravity of the offense is determined by the degree of lust motivating the action and the qualities of the person against whom the transgression is committed. When the lust is very strong, even like incest or rape can be committed, the most serious being the rape of the female arahat. So the third precept also is a great social importance of the social importance. It implies self-control and would avoid sensual exaggeration. It would establish loyalty in the married life. It would scrub physical excesses. The danger of certain contaminations would be eliminated. Health and family and society would benefit. So if we can practice these precepts, I mean, and then your wife or your daughter or any female family members, they are, they're happy, they are safe to live in a society, and everyone is protected. How good it is. Okay, let us look at the 4 precepts. The abstention of false speech. The characteristics of lying or falsehood is the volition of one's desires of representing to others and untrue things as true, which set up a corresponding intimation. 4 conditions must be met to break this precept. The first, the statement must be untrue. The second, there must be an intention to deceive. The third, an effort must be made to deceive. The fourth, the other person must know the meaning of what is expressed. False speech is expressed through speech, writing, or bodily gestures, and even conveyed through a third party who may or may not be aware of the falsehood. Since its intention is required, if someone makes a false statement believing it is true, it is to be true, no transgression has occurred. But if one makes a false statement with the intention to deceive and the other party understand what it is expressed, then the precept is broken, whether the deception has occurred or not. Let us look at the causes of false speech. The root causes of false speech are greed, hatred, and delusion. The greed is the root cause when false speech is used to obtain material gain or status for oneself or someone dear to oneself. So you heard the news like that's the American woman that she said she can do some sort of test, very expensive test for people, and they say they have this new technology can test someone's health or something, but actually the results are false, and the technology is not true. She just make it up, and then she earns a lot of money from that. And I think she got charged in America. It was on the news lately. Okay, so she make this false speech because she wants to earn money. And the second, the hatred is the root cause when false speech is used to cause loss and bringing harm and suffering to others. So like, for example, someone hates someone and they make up false speech. Like, for example, they say, oh, this person's wife is having an affair with other women, but actually it's not true. They only say it because she wants to make that lady angry, wants her marriage to broken, so that she make this false statement in order to hurt this person, yeah, to bring sufferings to them. Okay, the third, delusion is the root cause when it is used neither for one's gain nor to cause loss and harm to others, but for the sake of enjoyment, such as lying for the sake of joke, exaggeration to spice up a story, or flattery to please others, etc. So to say some sort of joke which is not true is also not good. Like, whatever time you say something that is not what it is false speech, actually. So the gravity of the acts of false speech. The gravity of the acts of false speech depends on 3 factors, namely, the degree of benefit destroyed, motivation, and recipients of the false speech. The gravity is light if little benefit is destroyed, and heavy if a large benefit is destroyed as a result of the false speech. So number 2, falsehood is also less severe if the motivation is to save oneself or another from material loss or harm, while it becomes more severe if the motivation is to cause material loss or harm to others. The third, with regards to the recipients of the false speech, the gravity is greater if the recipient is a morally superior person or is one's benefactor, while the gravity is less if the recipient has low moral qualities. So for example, like if they make up some stories or on like, for example, they say, oh, this monk or this nun did something really wrong, but actually they didn't do it. They just make up the stories. Then the gravities of what they did from making up this false speech is large, because the monk and the nuns represent Buddhism, and because of people like believing in this false speech, it makes Buddhism look bad, and people not believe in Buddhism. So this creates a big problem, a big gravity of bad deeds if they do that. Okay. So the worst case, the worst case of falsehood are lying in a way that defames the Buddha. Here it is, defame the Buddha and the Arahats, or making false claims of attainments of jhana, mental absorption, or and pala, or they say they already got the protection, they already it's the Arahat or something. So in that case, among such falsehood leads to dismissal from the Sangha. So you are not that good, but you say you are. You haven't achieved that, but you say you achieved. So you're lying to others in this case. So lying and slandering are the forms of cheating. Stealing a man's good character may be more harmful than stealing his purse. When nations how can I say, fail to keep their treaties with another nations, we understand they will create a big problem for the society. So don't just make some sort of false speech to stir up problems between countries. This is very not good. So the fifth precept, let's look at the last precepts, is the abstention for partaking of intoxicants. The taking of intoxicants is defined as the volition leading to the bodily acts of ingesting the intoxicants such as drinking of alcohol, smoking of opium or marijuana, or sniffing of cocaine or glue, or injection of heroin into the vein, etc. Or what is the new one that the young kids do sometimes, or the drinking the cough medicine also can, or also what there's a news in America. They say they can lick. It's not a frog, something like a frog, but they say through the body, if they lick that animal, they can have this some sort of like taking drugs effect. so like the animals, I can't believe people can do such disgusting things because they want this effects of losing their mind and like having delusions and things like that. Yeah. So taking these intoxicants, there are 4 conditions for partaking these intoxicants. So there must be an intoxicant, and there must be the intention of taking it, and the action must be taken to ingest it. So and the 4th, there must be an actual injection of the intoxicant. So for example, if you have a drug there, you didn't take it, it doesn't count. Okay? So the condition 4 states that clearly that the precept is broken once the intoxicant is ingested intentionally. It does not matter whether one is intoxicated or not a result of the action, or not as a result of the action. In taking medicines containing alcohol or intoxicating drugs for medical reasons, no breach of the precepts is committed. This is because one's intention is to take medicine to cure one's sickness. Concerning the use of alcohol in the medicine by monks, the Buddha allowed strong drink to be added with some sort of oil as a medicine. So, however, certain monks used it to add too much strong drink into their medicine. Well, they get drunk after consuming these medicinal oils. To prevent this from happening, the Buddha allowed monks to drink some sort of medicine with the alcohol, sort of contain some sort of well, it is in a drink, provided neither color nor smell nor taste of a strong drink shall be sensible or detectable. So you can't be too obvious. Like if it's for medicine purpose, that is okay. But don't get drunk, because people will think, oh, you break the precepts. Yeah. So some sort of, if you like mix it with something and it's for medicine and for health and it's not overrated with the alcohol, that's fine. So thus, the drinking of herbal wines containing mainly hard liquor or adding of alcohol to the food to enhance its taste should be discouraged, even though some may think that, oh, there is no violation of the precepts there, knowing that it is an intoxicant and still taking it for its flavor, taste, shows that one is not practicing self-control. So as for alcoholic herbal products, one should switch to the equivalent products that do not contain alcohol. I mean, some people do use it. I mean, if you use it in the cooking, cook it longer so the alcohol evaporates, then, well, it's not that strong anymore, right? So yeah, so when you cook the food, you know that your purpose is not to get drunk, okay? So then that's okay. If you just add the flavor, it's not too strong, it vaporizes, that's all right. But don't addict it to it, okay? It is known that the intoxicants, even a small amount, can make one less sensitive. So heedless and easily swayed by the defilements. As one started to enjoy getting high on intoxicants, the effects becomes addictive and the usage increases. Then either they dull the mind or hasten the increase the defilements, that one loses the sense of shame and fear in performing immoral activities. Without shame and fear, there is no morality, and a person loses all restraints in his conduct. Indeed, the breaking of the fifth precept is the most dangerous, because as it can lead to the breaking of all the remaining precepts. Abstaining from intoxicants, therefore, prevents the misfortunes that result from the use of intoxicants, namely the loss of wealth, quarrels and crimes, disease, loss of reputation through shameless behavior, or madness. You know, some people, they are drunk and they just fall on the street, or sleep on the street, or they just say something really rude, or they just pee on the street in front of the public, but they don't know what they're doing because they're already drunk. So it's a shameful behavior. The causes of partaking of intoxicants. The motivation for taking intoxicants is greed accompanied by delusion. No gradation of moral weights are given. Now, when the drug habit or the drink habit has weakened the moral stamina of the man, a society at large suffers. Do not think drinking is not a big deal, because many people are consuming it. My teacher told us a story. When he was a university student, quite young, one day, his father was checking on the flowers outside his house. A drunk man was walking near his dad's house, and the drunk man suddenly stabbed him using a knife without a reason. And they do not know each other, and my teacher's dad, his father, died instantly. And my teacher was very sad, but there is nothing he can do to bring his dad back. So because of this case, my teacher understood the importance of having a clear mind, to follow Buddha's footsteps, to practice Buddha-Dharma as a monk and gain enlightenment. So he vowed to bring the right view and Dharma to people, and he later became a Buddhist monk. He would like to help guide people to the right path. He is my teacher in the Buddhist Institute. And he said this is the story why he became a monk. And we are quite shocked because his father's dead. So it's quite sad. Okay, so the consequences of breaking and keeping the 5 precepts. According to the discourse on the bad effects of evil deeds, Ayuttara 4, number 247. Breaking of precepts when pursued, practice, increase, causes one to arise in hell, in animal world, and the world of ghosts. If reborn as a human being, the following are the very least results. Killing with leading a shorten of one's life. Stealing will lead the loss of one's wealth. Sexual misconduct will breed enmity and hatred. False speech will cause one to be falsely accused. And partaking of intoxicants will cause one to be afflicted with insanity, because your brain is damaged. You take too much of this toxic, it kills the cell. Okay. On the other hand, the observance of the 5 precepts lead to the accumulation of wholesome karma tending to rebirth in a happy realms of humans as a heavenly beings. If reborn as a human, the following are the results. abstention from killing will lead to longevity. So because of causes and effects, you did not take others' life. So your life will be also safe and well. You will not get sick easily and you will have a long life. The abstention from stealing will lead to prosperity. The abstention from sexual misconduct will lead to popularity. So you have a good conduct, you did not do anything that hurt others, and others will feel comfortable around you. The abstention from lying will cause one to have good reputation. So because people can trust you, so you have good names and good opportunities in your career because you're an honest person. So abstention from partaking of intoxicants will lead to mindfulness and wisdom because you're fully aware of what you did, so you're clear with all the actions you did. In the so this is the thing that I just talked about. So in the Mahaparipana Sutra, the Buddha expounded the villages of Patilagama and the 5 blessings gained by one who observes the precepts and who is established in morality. And the first one, he acquires much wealth as a result of his diligence. The second, he acquires a good reputation and fame. The third, he approaches and enters any assembly of nobles, brahmins, householders, and monks with complete self-confidence without any fear or hesitation. Fourth, he lives the full span of life and died undiluted. The fifth, after death, he is reborn in happy realm of humans and devas. The essential character is one of non-violation, for it is not violating others that one can perfect and purify of the 3 karmas of body, speech, and minds. By undertaking the 5 precepts, we can develop faith, generate merit, and increase moral strength. By observing the 5 precepts, we can enjoy peace and well-being. We will reborn in human form, avoid acting in unwholesome ways. In other words, understanding and observing the 5 precepts allows us to generate our intrinsic prajna wisdom and obtain respect and ultimately produce harmony. Okay, let us look at the sutra about living comfortably. It says, Mendicants, there are these 5 ways of living comfortably. What 5? It is when a mendicant constantly treat their spiritual companions with kindness by the way of body, speech, and mind, both in public and in private. They live according to precepts shared with their spiritual companions, both in public and in private. Those precepts are unbroken, imperceptible, spotless, and unmarred, liberating, praised by sensible people, not mistaken, and leading to immersion. They live according to the view shared with their spiritual companions, both in public and in private. That view is noble, and it brings out ones who practice it to complete ending of suffering. So these are the 5 ways of living comfortably. So you see, these are good. These are all written in the sutras that Buddha wants us to do. So, okay, let us look at the last part, the 8 precepts. So for a lay Buddhist that are very devoted and want to learn more and have experience of living as a monk or nun, they can take the 8 precepts. the lay Buddhists can also do that if they want to further their practice in the Bodhi path. Okay, so these are modeled upon the ethical code of a novice monk or nun, but they are generally taken for only 24 hours period. So the first 5 of the 8 precepts are identical with the regular 5 precepts, except that the third is changed to read, I accept the training rule to abstain from all sexual behavior. This requires abstinence even from the actions of like hugging, kissing, holding hands, etc. The additional 3 are as follows. So these 3 are the extra one we'll look at. The number 6 precept is I accept the training rule to abstain from food at improper times. So this means no solid food, including milk products, should be consumed between 12 noon and dawn of the following day, roughly 6 a.m. After 12 noon, one may drink any beverage such as tea, coffee, cocoa, fruit juice, etc. Plain vegetables, broth, like a soup without the pulp, so no food inside, or like just purely liquid is okay. Is also permissible. The precept holders should eat a more substantial lunch than usual, but without stuffing oneself. So don't eat like 4 times as you normally eat. It will make you sick. Okay. So with a little determination to resist the force of habit, one will find this suffice for the rest of the day. Okay, so number 7, I accept the training rule. A, to abstain from dancing, singing, instrumental music, and shows. And B, from the use of jewelry, cosmetics, and beauty lotions. So part A means that one refrains both the participating in such activities and attending performance at which they take place. And part B excludes personal ornamentation. So you don't go out wearing very pretty things, but I mean, if you wear your wedding rings or if the jewelry is stuck in your ears, that's fine. So for perfumes, don't put perfumes, but if your skin is too dry, you put some skin lotion with not much sense on it, not much taste, that's fine. Yeah. So number 8, I accept the training rule to abstain from the use of high and luxurious bed and seats. So during this day, one should avoid sitting in especially soft, high or luxurious seats. The typical American bed would not count as high and luxurious. But if we wish to, how can I say, just sleep on something simple, not so high, then it's okay. Yeah. So the 8 precepts, if undertaken, should be observed until the following dawn. At dawn, one verbally relinquishes them, either to oneself, to another person, or in front of the Buddha image, you say, okay, I finished my precepts for the day. And I took the 8 precepts when I was 16 years old in Hong Kong, and I could remember, I still remember what I did in the temple. It was a great experience for me, waking up at 4 a.m. and living like a monastic members and practicing all day, chanting, listening to the Dharma, prostrating to the Buddha, repenting to the Buddha. It inspired me a lot. Some people find it hard to take the precepts. They are afraid they cannot keep the promise. But if we do not undertake the precepts and commit harm without a sense of remorse, then our negative karma will be more severe, since we do not have a reason to correct our behaviors. Such people will be reborn as animals, hungry ghosts, or in hell. Okay, so it's nearly about time, so I'll just skip, okay, with the last slides, okay? So precepts are like the bright sun and the moon, and also like the pearls of a necklace. It is through precepts that bodhisattvas, as numberless as atoms and molecules, attain perfect enlightenment from the Brahma Net Sutra. So you can see there's a lot of benefits from keeping these precepts. You can have a very good life, and you protect others, you protect yourself, and you can gain wisdom because of these precepts. Because your activities will be wholesome, and you will stop having these unwholesome deeds and bad karmas. So for those who haven't get their precepts, please get it. And those who want to take the 8 precepts, they can do it at the Puxian Monastery. Yeah, Omnitofo. So this will be the end for the sharing today. Let us a dedication of merits. I sincerely dedicate the merits gained from hearing the Dharma to all beings. May they gain true happiness and freedom. May they walk the path to liberation, to Buddhahood. May they always be safe, well, and happy. Okay, 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Amitabha, see you guys next week.